Hello everyone, welcome. We're going to talk today about the NPMA Certification Work Experience summary form that you must fill out for certain levels of certification. Also, I'd like to say thank you to Kathy Seltzer, who is the co-author of this presentation. She is the VP of Professional Development. My name is Beth Green, and I am the VP of Certification. So today we're going to talk about the required qualifications for the Administrator and Manager certification levels in the NPMA's Property Management Certification Program. The Work Experience Summary. Candidates for the CPPA and the CPPM designation must document their work experience. The work experience summary is where subsequent years of experience will be demonstrated and certification qualifications will be determined. There is a form online. It is a fill-in form that you can complete. And prior to taking either exam, you must have this form completed and approved. Experience summary forms, there's a checkbox on it for the CPPA or the CPPM. You must check one of them. I often tell people to please check the CPPM if they think they might do that at a later date. Once the form has been submitted and approved, it will never go away. You have those years of experience. They will always be with you. So I recommend when you're filling it out, fill it out for the CPPM if you think you can qualify. There are several functional areas that are listed, and we're going to talk about them, but the definitions listing for each functional area I hope to have online with this form so you can review them prior to filling it out. Let's talk about some of the functional areas that people struggle with. I mean, it's something we know about by looking at the forms. The requirements planning. It is an important functional area, but a lot of people get it mixed up with actual looking at property and deciding what's needed elsewhere in the organization. But it really means identifying the needs of assets and materials through the planning process. It may also refer to identifying needs for a property or asset management system to help meet the organizational goals and objectives. How about control, ownership? That first part of that one, it means one who has rightful title. So if you're a contractor and you're doing work for a government agency with their property, you have government furnished property, then this property is considered owned by the government. So do you work with the government in managing this property? This is where you would actually use this definition. The other part of the definition is responsibility, having responsibility for actions related to property such as maintenance, control, and record keeping. More general, that accountability, this is tied to being accountable for someone else's property. So again, if you're a contractor, you're responsible for government property and you must take care. But the company is generally the accountable person. And then it's flowed down to a custodian, and the custodian would now be the other part that's in this area called responsibility. They're responsible to take care of the property in their possession. The other one on this list that you see on the slide is property accounting, a codified set of processes for maintaining financial records of business transactions. A lot of people get this. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about NPMA Certification Work Experience Summary. And also I would like to thank Kathy Seltzer, who's the VP of Professional Development, helped co-author this particular presentation. And my name is Beth Green, and I'm the VP of Certification. We feel this presentation will help those who are filling out this work summary form in a good way. We'll start talking about work experience summary. Candidates for the CPPA and CPPM designation will do this form. Those who take the CPPS do not have to fill out a form that shows requisite years of experience. So they have to demonstrate somehow that they qualify for the different levels of certification. There is a fill-in form online to complete your work experience summary. Prior to taking either the exam or both, the form needs to be completed and sent in for approval before you can take the exams. We no longer allow people to take the exams without this approval. The experience summary form, there is a checkbox, a CPPA and a CPPM. You check either one, but my suggestion is that if you could qualify for the CPPM with the number of requisite years, that you go ahead and check that box and you fill out that form as if you're going to take that CPPM that day or that moment, and later when you're ready to take that exam, you don't have to refill out the form. You've already been qualified if it comes back approved. So it is important to know that. There is a listing of functional areas on the form. Just know if you're a government worker in contracts, they talk about outcomes. These are very similar to outcomes, but NPMA decided to keep these outcomes plus some other areas we feel that's very important to the property management world. The definitions listing for each of these functional areas is going to be available on the website. I'm not sure what time frame it will be put on there, but we're working very hard to get it up there on the website so you could have help to fill these out. Here's the list of functional areas. I'm going to just talk about a few of them, and the ones I'm going to talk about are really a concern for most people because they don't have what does this really mean? So they're missing this area a lot. So the first one I'd like to talk about is requirements planning. Identifying the needs for assets and materials through the planning process. It may also refer to identifying needs for a property or asset management system to help meet organizational goals and objectives. So it is not related to, I need a piece of property in John's area and I'm going to move it over there. That's really not what we call requirements planning. How about control or ownership? Ownership means one who has legal rightful title. And then control responsibility, that's having responsibility for actions related to the property such as maintenance, control, and record keeping. More general than accountability. It is tied to being accountable to someone else for the property. And accountability is to possess and have use of the property of another with delegated duties and responsibilities, or a contract where you are accountable. So really, if you worked for a contractor, the company that is the contractor is the accountable person. So how you would measure that is maybe a custodian would be considered responsible. So know that you have to put that in your answers. How about property accounting? It is a codified set of process for maintaining financial records of business transactions. So really, in essence, if you say accounting, it's not about accountability, it's about the money, about the financial reports, that kind of thing. How about valuation? A lot of people don't get involved with valuation, but if you are working for a company that has as maybe disposing government property and you sell it for them, there has to be some kind of valuation. What is that property worth before you put it on the market? It's kind of like a used car. So a used car usually has a blue book value. That is the valuation of the vehicle. So that's where you would maybe put that in your work summary. Risk management is also new to the property world, but it's been going on a while. But the definition we have for it is also referred to as a risk analysis and loss prevention. The practice of protecting an organization from financial harm by identifying, analyzing, and controlling risk at the lowest possible cost. It has increasingly come to include aggressively managing risk to maximize an organization's ability to profit from opportunities and increase its efficiency. A lot of us think of insurance when we think of risk management, so they're just now getting into that with property management. The next one I'd like to talk about is way down at the bottom of this slide. The other ones are pretty much self-explanatory. Screening and accessing. To review or compare property on hand against a known anticipated requirement, or the organization currently holds an underutilized, inactive, or excess asset that could be used to meet the need, thereby avoiding a cost of acquisition. The next one is contracts and agreement closure. The disposal of all property and zeroing out all property records on a contract. From a property management standpoint, contract closeout is the disposal of all property, and you must bring it down to zero in the contract. Now, disposition and retirement is the action taken to physically transfer the property from one's accountability. It's not really a disposal. It's actually a disposition of the item, and then the record becomes retired. It never goes away. You have to keep track of it even after you have dispositioned it. Excuse me. Work experience summary. The form includes, you need a job title, a company name, time of employment, a brief synopsis of your experience in at least 7 of those functional areas that I just showed you on the previous slides. And also, it has to be in property management. We don't take other job titles. How about for the CPPM requirement, you have to have a different type of number of years. You have to have at least 4 years experience. So you must have, for a CPPA, 3 years of experience and 6 years experience in the CPPM. And the CPPM has an additional managerial requirement, which we'll talk about later. You need your company name. Let's say you worked for more than one company over the years, so you need to list every one of those. So if you're looking for 6 years, maybe you worked at the last place 2 years, and then you worked at this place 4 years. That would give you your 6 years experience. Be descriptive with your explanations, with your brief synopsis. Don't make it just one sentence or 2 words. It's a little like a resume. And to qualify for the CPPM, managerial experience in the company or companies where you have worked, you must complete a paragraph describing your management responsibilities for a minimum of 4 years. And what is managerial experience to us? It includes management over budgets or accounting. How about programs or personnel? Not just personnel, remember that. Don't forget to sign the form. And don't forget to have your manager or supervisor sign it as well. What are they signing? They're signing that you are working in a property function. Now I'd like to give you an example that I've put together from some of the ones that we've received over the past, and these were pretty good, and I've changed the names to protect the innocent. Examples of the work experience form, if you see this one's for a CPPA, and we had to say they had at least a minimum of 3 years experience. So here is, it says February 2010. We only need month and year. We don't need to go down to the day. So it's July 2014. It clearly demonstrates 4 years. And they wrote a brief synopsis about inventory, because that's what they worked in. So this is Any Company USA. You can put in verbiage about the company, but we really don't need it. We need to know what you were doing, how you were doing it, so that we know that you have worked in it. The next slide, or this slide, actually talks about the CPPM, where we said you had to have at least 6 years experience. Well, in here they did have a minimum, they had a minimum of 6 years, but they actually had 10 years. So this was pretty good. But let's pretend that this said January 2000 to March 2003. They would not have had enough time. So this slide is written in case they made a mistake, but it really does say 2013. I'm guessing it's either a typo or I meant to do that on purpose. But thank you so much for being understanding on this one. The utilization is what they talked about, and they gave a brief about it. So that's all good. So what happens next? Well, if you have submitted your work experience summary form to NPMA, it is now reviewed for minimum qualifications. And there's a team of people who do this. So it could be reviewed by more than one person if necessary. You will be notified via email with an approval or a denial. If it is denied, update your summary based on the comments. You will be offered the comments from the team who reviews it. And as soon as you receive it, reapply. Reviews are typically completed within 10 to 14 days. You have to remember our team is volunteers. They all have a job, so sometimes they just can't get to it right away. But if for some reason you're wanting to take the test right away, let the certification at npma.org. Send them an email and let them know, okay? Once your work experience summary is submitted, NPMA does take great care with these. The staff will upload it and give it to a reviewer, and make sure your email address is updated in the database. Why? If it's not updated in your profile and we want to send you a reply back, who knows if we can do it automatically or not. We may have to look at how you sent it to us. Please review your form and update it and resubmit it if you do receive it back. There is no limit to the number of times that you resubmit. The reasons you might, the reasons for denial, some of the typical reasons for denial would be does not meet the requisite years of experience. Maybe you just have a typo like I did on my slides here. It's very easy to put the wrong date in. How about responsibilities are not well demonstrated for or explained? In other words, write more than a sentence or two. The explanation of responsibilities does not match the chosen functional areas. For some reason, somebody will pick inventory and they talk about receiving. Those are two different functions. So we need you to really pay attention to what function you actually put on the application and talk about it specifically. Ensure you and your manager have signed the form. Many times we get that back because we don't have a management signature. What if your manager is on extended travel and they're not available, but they are available by email? They can send an email that just states simply that you are an employee for them and they are on extended travel, and you can turn that in with the form, and we may accept it without a signature, but that's the only way we can do it. It has to come from them and their company email to you at the company. It can't be from their home or whatever. Also note, again, management does not mean just a manager or of people, but of property systems or program systems that deal with property. I want to thank you all. I am going to put up here a slide of how to reach me, and I appreciate your time today. I hope this was a lot of help, but if you feel that you need more information, you're welcome to contact me. And again, you can also send an email to certification@npma.org, and they will seek help for you as well. I want you to have a good day.